West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. It's 9 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Friday, September 12th, 2025. The governor of Utah proclaiming they got him, Tyler Robinson. And here's one of the things that always perplexes me when I go down to these protests where everyone's yelling, Donald Trump's a fascist. Elon Musk is a Nazi, all that stuff, okay? And Piers Morgan just posted this, and I think it's a great response, is that in this case, this guy Tyler Robinson felt Charlie Kirk was a fascist Nazi. He wrote on his cartridge, "Hey, fascist, catch." Okay? Why don't these people see that the acting, the killing, the assassination of an innocent person is acting like a fascist? Like, you're the one. You picked up a gun and shot somebody in cold blood. You assassinated him because you didn't like the words he said. And yet you are killing him because you think he's the fascist? That's that lack of recognition that the actions you're taking right now make you the one that is a fascist is shocking to me. Tyler Robinson, 22 years old, in custody for the assassination of Charlie Kirk, writing on one of the cartridges, "Hey, fascist, catch." We'll get the latest news. Now's News and Comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, News and Comment.
Good morning. It's Friday, 66, partly cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 81 today. This portion of the news sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story. Well, I'm having problems. And
good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him.
The Utah governor says that we got him, and that was the big news last hour and today, of course, this morning. And FBI Director Kash Patel comes to the podium.
To my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
They have their man, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson. He viewed Kirk as a Nazi, thanks to the mainstream media and those on the left who painted Kirk to be a Nazi. He wrote Bella Ciao on the ammunition, which is an Italian song, as Jeff just talked about, dedicated to the partisans of the Italian resistance who fought Nazi Germany. Spencer Cox, once again, Utah governor.
The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices bulges, capital OWO, what's this?" ? Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist!" ! Catch! ! Up arrow symbol, right arrow and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, Oh, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow. And a third unfired casing read, if you read this, you are gay, LMAO. We are...
So there's so much coming out right now. It's pretty incredible. But Jeff and Billy talking about it, and this is how the media kind of reported on Kirk for the last 12 years, and a lot of people believed it, that he was a fascist, and that is what happened here. DJT this morning says he hopes they exercise the death penalty.
Well, I hope he's going to be found guilty, I would imagine. I hope he gets the death penalty. Well,
and Florida Representative Anna Paulina Luna demands lefty Stephen King donate $10 million for Kirk's family after King posted, lied, and then retracted. This is what he said, that Charlie Kirk advocated stoning gays to death. Of course, that is not true. A stolen truck tracked from Summit County stopped at Evergreen Walmart on Thursday afternoon, and then the Jeffco Sheriff's Department says that they moved in. Patrol cars rammed, and a trooper fired shots. The patrol cars were rammed. The suspect fled east on I-70, crashed near mile marker 257. Eastbound I-70 was shut down after police found markings for radioactive material inside the crashed vehicle. Both the suspect and a trooper had minor injuries, and no one was hit by gunfire. Now, all of this was happening a day after the Evergreen High School shooting, which is about 6 or 7 miles away from the Walmart where all this was taking place. So that community has been through a lot, to say the least. And last night they had a vigil. Governor Polis was among the elected leaders who spoke as hundreds of people gathered for a vigil last night.
On behalf of the entire state of Colorado, know that you all are in our hearts and in our minds in every corner of this state, from Trinidad to Sterling to Grand Junction.
Polis told the crowd the shooting would be investigated, but that no answers would sufficiently explain such a horrific, violent act. The victims remain in critical condition, including 18-year-old Matthew Silverstone, while the 16-year-old shooter died from the self-inflicted gunshot. All right, the Packers are 2-0. They beat the Commanders last night. Charlie Kirk, he loved football and sports. Have a great college football weekend and an NFL football weekend coming up. 69 in Westminster, 70 in Lone Tree, 71 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson, News Talk, 710 KNUS.
For the next 3 days, shower and thunderstorm chances over all of Colorado will be increasing, especially in the mountain areas. Highs today, mid to upper 80s, afternoon and evening thunderstorms, near 60 tonight with a few lingering showers. Cooler, upper 70s and low 80s with a good chance of showers and thunderstorms Friday and again on Saturday. Weather is a service of L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Well, Bill, I'm going to apologize to you ahead of time on this one because we didn't discuss this. I'm going to throw it at you, but you're good at this. You can handle this stuff.
Yeah,
okay.
Sure. Yes, the itching is going away. The doctor said they keep using the cream. There shouldn't be any scarring. Is that not what we're talking about? No. Okay,
but I have concern.
Yeah.
And I know the history of this as to why we don't do public executions and public punishments. Right, it was a general idea that it was contributing to the coarsening of society to just watch dead bodies swinging from the sides of a castle. But I wonder if we've erred too much on the other side, where we've sanitized the punishment of these guys, whether it's the guy that shot up Aurora, like whatever happened to that guy? He's just living in a cell somewhere, right? The Aurora Theater. or other school shooters that just kind of go through the justice process and then are put in a cage with cable television and they just live out the remainder of their lives, versus some form of public message meant to dissuade others from ever considering doing the same thing. And it may sound obtuse, it may sound gross and disgusting, but I would be open to the idea of bringing back a form of public execution with regards to some of these people, school shooters in particular, that I would like to send a message to anybody else, even contemplating doing this, that this is how we treat people like you.
Here's the thing inside of that. The question I think I have is, does that public execution serve more as a deterrent, more as a demonstration of effective law enforcement, or more as a public representation of society's revenge? Of those three, what do you think it serves?
Public society revenge. I would say that absolutely. No,
Okay.
no. I think
yeah.
there's, and I think the hope is that it sends a message that this is how we treat people like you.
Here's the thing, though. My first one is public deterrent, but you went to revenge, and that's why I have a concern about this, because I believe that public executions do fulfill society's need for revenge.
Correct.
But that's different than punishment for deterrence. Revenge is different than deterrence.
Yeah, and
so,
I'm not necessarily, I dissect them, and I was reading stuff too, so I may have missed that. But I see them as combined. But my concern, though, going back to my original point, is we've erred so much on the other side of it, where you're kind of, it's kind of like when you ask people where your meat comes from, and they say the grocery store.
Yeah.
We've removed that operation from public viewing to the point where you don't really like a cheeseburger is a patty, and I think a lot of people think that that's how it comes.
Yeah,
as opposed to
here's the thing, though.
We stunned a cow and slit its throat and then butchered it so you could eat that cheeseburger.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and oh god, this is really awkward. But let's talk about both instances of shootings recently at schools: the Charlie Kirk shooting and the Evergreen shooting. Do we have any indications that the Charlie Kirk shooter thought he was going to get captured? And if he didn't think he was going to get captured, then death penalty or public execution doesn't function as a deterrent. Yet in the Evergreen shooting, we saw the shooter turn the firearm on themselves and kill themselves that way. Well, that gets us to the point of a death penalty, but we're robbed of the trial and we're robbed of the revenge.
Right.
So what I look at is that if we say that we're going to have public executions to satiate the public's need for revenge, I can have that conversation.
Yeah.
I just don't believe that it functions as a deterrent.
You don't
because,
think so?
No,
you don't?
No, I don't. I really don't.
So even if he killed himself, let's say we just strung up his body.
Yeah.
Let's be a little gruesome. Friday morning, 9 o'clock, right? He's dead. We go back to the medieval times and we string him right up there, right off of I-20 or I-70.
Yeah.
For everybody to see and watch that this is what Colorado does to school shooters. You don't think that would have an impact?
Well,
you don't think school shooters would go, oh, boy.
Well, here's the thing is that over the course of history, doing that didn't seem to stop it from happening again and again and again. So I disagree with the idea of deterrence. And in most cases, those people that commit those acts don't think they're going to be caught in the first place. That's why they go through long ways of trying to hide bodies, etc. We had a story earlier in You Choose the News earlier this week of a guy that was caught after murdering his roommate because he accidentally left a voice message. And it was a voice message of a recording of him moving the body. And he's talking about how difficult it is. So, again, he didn't think he was going to get caught, but he knew about the punishment, and he knew it was there,
My
yet
question
it didn't stop it
to
from
you,
killing.
though, is what is being done now to deter? Do you think the current system of the way it's set up, especially in light of Evergreen, where the guys glorifying previous school shooters and celebrate him. Do you think our current system deters it?
This is the problem. I think that psychologically, when you get to the point that you believe that murder is the solution to whatever problem you have gone past the point of deterrence. Because deterrence in and of itself would stop you from getting there in the first place. So I would say that deterrence is functional for most people that don't believe it can solve their problem. But once you get to a point, and the alleged shooter for Charlie Kirk felt, Tyler Robinson said, the way I have to stop this is going to be a killing.
Right.
He was
so your
answer
is no, right, with regards to whether or not it deters them now.
No,
so there's
no
real way, whether it's a sanitized justice system that kind of keeps it out of sight, or public executions and the filleting of bodies on the side of the courthouse lawn. Yeah. Neither of those is actually going to deter somebody from your perspective.
Yeah, somebody that has gotten to that point. Now, does it, the idea of, you cut me off in traffic, I need to shoot you. Yeah, the idea of the punishment does deter that individual in that moment. But if you've gotten to that point, no, I don't believe that it does. However, again, I can be convinced for society's revenge, okay? Do we really want to get this dark this morning? Okay, we'll get this dark because I'm going to be 100 with the audience. Again, we got to be honest here. Okay, there is a dark part inside of my soul where if someone was convicted of killing an individual like this with Tyler Robinson, if we wanted to give Charlie Kirk's family members some hammers and baseball bats and 15 minutes alone in a cell for revenge, okay, I can entertain that conversation. I can get that dark, that if we want to embrace revenge, embrace it. Don't dance around the idea that the revenge is an aspect of deterrence. No, if we're going to do revenge, let's do revenge, and let's do it right. But if not, I don't think it can be done. Yeah.
Text message is hot on this one. Breadman pointing out, look, criminals don't live in a rational universe to begin with, right? If they were rational people, they wouldn't be criminals. So, is this really going to deter them, or is it just a tool to keep them from committing further crime? That's a really good point. Jay from Louisville saying, guys, we have a thing called the Eighth Amendment. 2247, public executions don't stop murderers. Public revenge is regressive. 2247 says.
Oh, sure. Again, 2247. I can get with you. Yeah. Do I understand that it is dark and regressive? Yeah. But I have to be honest with you, our audience, that there is a part inside of me that, I can embrace that. You want to talk about the revenge I would like to seek on anybody that harms my friends or family members? Sure.
Like, I'm looking at the Evergreen shooting, and the Denver Post is reporting that this guy was glorifying the school shooters, right? Celebrating them. There's videos out there. Look how cool and dark we are, and we have the power to take life. And how do you flip that? How do you make the school shooters look weak, pathetic, something that nobody would ever want to glorify because you're so hated by society? What do you do to flip the script, Bill?
Ugh. I don't know. I'm not sure, honestly. I'm not sure, what we do at that point. What would you do? What would be your thoughts on it?
I don't know. School shooters are such scum of the earth for me.
Yeah.
That my mind goes to public castrations. I don't know. I just like the idea of just how much can I humiliate. The idea that you're the type of human being that thinks I get power and satisfaction from the shooting of innocent children in a school.
Yeah.
I would go to a place of public torture.
Yeah.
To just go, you know what? I want to demean you so much that no human being, even if they're irrational, goes, I want to be like that guy. So, I don't know.
Here's something that's weird. And again, I'm not certain that it is a good form of deterrence. And again, I'm just throwing this out there because I got weird ideas. And anybody that listens to the show for more than 15 minutes understands I got a lot of weird ideas. And is there anything about something that you see in a more authoritarian society where in these extreme cases of violence, like a school shooting, that some of the family members are held responsible. Now, again, it's ugly, but what I mean by that is not necessarily putting them in prison. We've talked about parents of shooters, etc., but I'm talking about them losing assets, being fired from jobs. And the only reason I say that is the shooter is trying to inflict the massive amount of pain on people in that scenario, whether it be a school, whether it be a mall, whether it be a grocery store. If there was an idea that I am not the only person being held responsible for this crime, that my family members could also face some consequences because of my actions, I'm not certain that would work, but it's a thought. It's just one of the weird thoughts I'm having right now.
I actually think it does work.
Yeah.
It's not always necessarily right, but for
point.
instance, in North Korea, if you speak out against the government, your whole family is executed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Goodness. And I'm not saying it's right.
No.
But does it deter people from speaking out? Probably.
We got to put a pin on this, that Jeff this morning says that Bill isn't right, but might be correct. I think that sums up a lot of what happens on this show. A lot of what happens on this show.
Right.
Yes,
Golly, I'm just, I'm at the end of the week, and I'm tired, and I'm exhausted, and I know you are too as well, Bill, because you had the stabbing of the young lady that's made national news. You had the assassination of a friend and colleague, and I just wanted to stop, and I'm trying to figure out with these complete losers, whether you're stabbing somebody out there or you're shooting Charlie Kirk, I want fewer of you. I don't want to live in a society with people like you. I want fewer of you. And how I send that message to the next one is what I'm intrigued by. So,
it's a hard
with
question.
all that, we're going to pivot here and get to Jeff Hildebrandt and what we always love on Friday as we wrap up the show, a little cowboy poetry. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Golly, I need this song this week.
Turn on this read. We all need it.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. After a very difficult week, just tragedies all over, whether you're up at Evergreen or you've got the loss of our colleague and friend Charlie Kirk, the stabbing, that young woman on the North Carolina. It's hard for a lot of us. Charlie Kirk would take Friday to Saturday nights off. He was very particular about protecting his time with his family. I hope you'll consider doing that too. Just unplug for the weekend.
Yeah.
If you want to come remember Charlie Kirk, I'm going to be speaking along with Pastor Jeff from Brave, Heidi Ganal, Victor Marks at Brave Sunday, September 14th, 2 p.m. You need to RSVP. The RSVP is at x.com/Jeff Hunt. I'll have it there. But
if you haven't gone out and experienced the Brave church community, do. That is a wonderful, wonderful body of Christ. Spend some time. If you've got the inclination, you've got the time, you need a community to hang out with, go hang out with Jeff and Brave Church this weekend. There's not a better use of your time. They are some fantastic people. Yeah, highly endorsed. Yeah, spending some time out there.
Would love to see you and to elevate the show and to...
Yeah.
By the way,
Help
all the
us
text
out.
messages are great. You get into public execution conversations, and people are getting a little creative on the text messages.
Exactly.
By the
And
way.
again, we want you to hold all your ideas because this will be something we'll pick up on
we
Monday.
get back to.
Yeah, we'll get back to this
But
on Monday.
Jeffrey, we need some hope here and some entertainment, and you're the one to provide it. Thank you for joining us. Jeff Hildebrandt, 710 KNUS Poet
And we're doing
Laureate.
this no pressure at all. Not at all. No pressure.
No. Well, let's see. All of these. Let me go to the funny one. No. If you find you're having trouble letting go of your frustration with all that has been going on across our ununited nation, you need to change your focus from right now to what will be. Change perspective from the present toward eternity. The Bible makes it clear enough. Romans 13:1 and 2 says, "Be subject to those governing," and that means all of you. We may see hard times now and then. Some things could be restricted, but those who know their Bible know that's also been predicted. So avoid the daily diatribes with prayer and self-control. No matter what you're facing, let God's Spirit calm your soul. While others gripe about hard times, the who and what began it, you can smile because you know you're only visiting this planet.
Oh, yeah,
Great reminder.
Yeah.
Great reminder.
Okay, am I done?
Well,
Hey,
Jeff,
good night, everybody.
I want to ask you about this.
No, don't ask me questions.
You know, lots of conversations around the dinner table. Ours last night, Charlie Kirk was, for many young people, kind of a modern-day RFK, JFK,
right.
Martin Luther King, a man full of hope. And young people in particular are dealing with that tragedy right now. And their world is, for me, 9/11 happened when I was 19 years old. You know, those become defining moments of things that change. And the conversation around our dinner table was, what is it like, that moment when your life comes to end here and it begins in eternity? And you mentioned we're just here. Scripture isn't super clear what that moment looks like.
Sure.
So I recognize it's going to be speculative. What do you think?
Well, I think the door's open and you walk through. You know, it's an elevator. For some people, it's an electric sidewalk. But no, I think you get on the elevator and it goes up or down, and there are no buttons. You just get on and go. I think you lose perspective on what's going on around you in the world, and your focus changes immediately to what you're going to be experiencing for eternity. So I don't know what you are driving at when you ask, what's it like? So if you want to state something, I'm sure we can get Bill to argue with you. But
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm always. I mean, the beautiful questions of my children around dinner table, reflecting on this and watching young minds and hearts come to terms with the fact that there will be a moment of death that they experience, because everybody experiences it, right?
Right.
So they want to know. I remember my son years ago when he was much younger going, Dad, well, how am I going to find you in heaven? And for me, it was such a beautiful question, because he's my son, right?
Right.
For him, he's thinking we're at a mall or another, a game or something. There's other people there. And I want to make sure I find my dad.
Yeah.
How will I find my dad? But to watch young hearts and souls and minds come to terms with this, and then to talk about the hope of Christ, as
right.
your poem mentioned. We don't really know what that moment's going to look like.
No.
We get some hints from Scripture. Jesus says, for instance, I'm going to prepare a place for you. In my Father's house are many rooms, and I'm going to prepare a place for you.
Right.
You get a sense that there's a place. There's going to be a place for you to stay. But what you can put your hope in the midst of all this mystery, is that Jesus Christ walked this. He went ahead of us.
Right.
Faced death, faced the sting of death, overcame it, resurrected. And that is the promise he gives to those that believe in him. But
exactly.
I'll turn it over to you. So
now I have always felt that my place is going to be in the back kitchen washing the pots and pans after the big feast.
And wouldn't you love it? Even in that case, that would be
it's
great.
Okay. Because always there is food left over, and you get to eat whatever you want out of those pots and pans. Yeah. I don't have to be at the big front table. I just know it's better having the cooked food than being the cooked food, as it were. I know what the alternative is going to be. And so this, the idea of heaven, the moment of death, I don't worry about it. I don't think about it. I just, my ticket's punched, and I've got a seat, whether it's in the nosebleed section or down closer to the field. I don't know, but
I was just thinking when Jeff was talking about the idea of him being in the dishwashing detail after the big feast. I'm sorry, just to bring, again, a little bit of lightness and levity to this, the first thing that my mind went to was, gosh, that sucks. I don't want to be there. And I started thinking, again, poetry. I started thinking of Shel Silverstein's poem about drying the dishes. Have to dry the dishes, such an awful boring chore. Have to dry the dishes instead of going to the chore. And the idea of maybe if you drop them on the floor, maybe they don't ask you to dry the dishes anymore. Just saying. I was looking for
always the contrarian.
I don't know. Do I have to be here?
Next poem, please, sir.
Okay, I heard a song by Stephen Stills. He sang, "Love the one you're with." Now I see those words are true, because love is God's great gift. Love the ones who love the Lord. Love strangers and the poor. Show love by helping where they hurt. Show the love that Christ came for. No one cares what you may know until they know you care. So if you show God's love and grace, they'll listen when you share. And you can share that Jesus came to pay the price of sin, and only by accepting him will eternal life begin.
It's Jeff Hildebrandt. He's our 710 KNUS Cowboy Poet Laureate. We're going to continue with him. I want to talk briefly about my friend Dan Caplis with Dan Caplis Law. Dan, pro-life, pro-family, pro-faith, pro-America. Dan is the son of a police officer and a former seminarian who's dedicated 40 years of his life to helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. Dan Caplis Law is the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law, a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. Here's the phone number, 303-770-5551. 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplislaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S law.com. We'll continue with Jeff Hildebrandt and some cowboy poetry to wrap up your week. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Jeff Hildebrandt, our cowboy poet, headbanging to Offspring here in the studio.
That's the problem with my poetry. I do too much headbanging. Just trying to put a hat on. Oh, no.
And I'm just telling you, I could tell you 3 very interesting stories about the recording of that song, but I'm not going to.
No.
Thank you.
I'm not going to. I will self-censor this morning.
No, we love it. Jeff Hildebrandt is our cowboy poet. Storied career, served on radio here with 710 KNUS, has been featured at what's that thing in New York City?
Let me tell you.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Yesterday was 9/11.
Carnegie Hall, there you go.
Yeah, yesterday was 9/11.
Yes.
Shortly after the attacks, I started writing this poem. And I mentioned it, what I had done, what I had written, to a few friends who are cowboy musicians, and we were at a festival. And all of a sudden they said, "Oh, what about this? You didn't say anything about that. Why don't you include this?" You know, everybody has suggestions. And so I wrote their suggestions down, and I worked them into the poem that I had already started called Cowboy Up America. And I ended up being asked to perform this 2.5 years after 9/11 in New York City at Carnegie Hall. And we weren't very far from Ground Zero at that point. And those of us who were there to perform at Carnegie Hall actually were taken down to Ground Zero and were allowed some access while we were there and while they were still in the process of cleaning up 2.5 years later. Anyway, this is a shortened version. I've taken out all the controversy so Bill wouldn't interrupt.
Thank you.
But it's a shortened version and slightly altered of Cowboy Up America. When a cowboy's in a pinch, he just tightens up the cinch, spurs his horse and rides right through it, 'cause that's the way John Wayne would do it. And when our country is in danger, a cowboy's like the old Lone Ranger, riding hard, shooting straight and fighting those who spread the hate. He's cowboyed up. So cowboy up and pull your hat down tight. Don't back down from what is right. We'll bring back happy trails to you like Hoppy, Gene, and Roy would do. Think back about Flight 93 and how those heroes came to be. They knew that thousands more could die if they just let that airplane fly. They cowboyed up. One widow had this tale to share of her husband's love and one last prayer. And when their sacrifice was done, terror lost and freedom won. Let's roll, he said, and they cowboyed up. So show the world in God we trust, because only God is right and just. Our faith will bring us liberty, because only God can set us free. So America, cowboy up.
That's just perfect.
Yeah.
That is just perfect after this
That
week.
is. Oh, it is.
Well done.
Thank you.
That's got some sticking power.
Interesting.
Yeah, it does.
I didn't realize the impact it would have, or it did have. I have a friend by the name of Johnny Western who actually wrote, those of you who are old enough to remember, he wrote the Ballad of Paladin, Have Gun Will Travel.
Oh, yeah.
And many other songs, and he's performed all over the world. But he was working at a little radio station in Wichita, which is where I had worked years before. So we have that in common. And whenever I'd go back to Wichita, I'd stop by the radio station to say hi to him. And he'd say, come in the control room. Okay, do that poem. Every time I went there, he had me do that poem at like the top of the hour to wrap up his show. And we were out, Gene Autry's, a celebration of Gene Autry's birthday out in California, and big crowd at the Autry Museum. and he's in the audience, and he says, "Do the poem." No, I can't. I'm not ready to do it. I haven't thought through it. Do the poem. I'll do it later, okay? Okay.
I love that. We've got about 2.5 minutes. Can you do God Bless?
Okay. We hear God Bless America an awful lot these days. With so many people saying it, why are there delays in the blessings that we're asking for? Why does God ignore all our efforts to persuade him? Could it be we're asking for God to bless our efforts, but not get in the way of all the faithless actions that continue this very day? When someone wants to get your vote or just hear you applaud, they'll flash a semi-sincere smile and raise their hand to God to make you think they're serious. Well, I always get the feeling their prideful pleas for plenty don't make it past the ceiling. See, asking for God's blessing in these very trying days should be coupled with humility and U-turns from wicked ways. Check out 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14 to learn what God requires from us so blessings can be seen. Now bow your head, bend your knee, and seek his holy face. Then God will bless America and show us all his grace.
Boy, oh boy. Jeffrey.
Did we need this today? We really need this.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
That is good stuff. I think
really
Charlie would agree entirely with that
Thank you.
message.
Yeah.
But that's where it starts. I mean, everything else we debate is so downstream from the problems we have upstream, which is a rejection of the faith.
Right.
So, wow. Yeah, we got some time. You got some more ones?
Okay. Okay. You okay. There was a young cow lad named Rick, and danger's what gave him a kick. He'd climb high in the trees while his mother yelled, "Please, be careful and get off that limb, Rick." Okay.
Limerick.
Good.
See the slow ones in the back of the classroom. We get it eventually.
Oh, my goodness. That's not fair.
Get off that limb,
That was
Rick.
awesome.
What's that one called? Rick's Trick?
Rick's Tricks.
How about another one, sir?
That's
Okay.
fantastic.
All right. Now, you remember last Friday my daughter was here. She had come into town to go to a conference. She was being taught things that she has to be taught because she works for a company that says, oh, everybody needs instruction. And so I wrote this. It just seemed to apply to her. Last night, I watched a sunset. Today, I'm watching an expert tell me how to do my job. Last night, the sun hesitated, then all of a sudden was gone, leaving only a glow behind the Rockies. Today, the minute hand hesitates, pauses, stands still as the speaker drones on and on and on. I wish she had a sunset in her bag of tricks.
Well done.
That's nice.
Well done. Many of us traveled to very nice locations to sit in a ballroom.
Yes. Sit in the bar and just sit around. Yes.
Okay, I'm done.
That is Jeff
That is
Hildebrandt,
fantastic.
710 KNUS,
that is
Poet
wonderful.
Laureate. Always love to have you in, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You can get his poetry at Amazon.com. Just type in Jeff Hildebrandt, HILDEBRANDT. Cowboy Poet.
All really, really affordable books. They're great for stocking stuffers. Rolling into the holiday season. You've got somewhere you need to go. You got something you need to deliver. It's a wonderful gift. Check it out online at Amazon.
Well, Bill, I'm hoping that next week you and I are back yelling at each other over semi-important things.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe not life and death
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah, I sure hope so, my friend. I
So,
hope
looking forward to getting back to that. Thank you all for a great week. If you missed any of it, go to 710knus.com to download the podcast. You're listening to Jeff and Bill.
710 K.